Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Micah Let's Play, and guess who I am? I'm Micah, because who else would I be? Now, I know you guys might be noticing my words are not matching the screen, so I need to explain to you what happened during this recording session. My mic wasn't working. As you can clearly hear the background, because you can hear Clementis playing on the guitar, you can hear all the ambient noise around them, but my microphone, for some reason, wasn't recording my voice, even though I can see the meter was hearing my words. Why it didn't actually capture my actual audio, I don't know. So, just so you guys know, the mic that I use is called the Blue Yeti mic. And I use it through the OBS software that I have everything hooked up on. So that's how I was able to monitor how my voice was being captured, everything. But for some strange and unknown reason, my voice wasn't captured. So I'm going to narrate the next few episodes, well, 2 episodes, until I have edited my other content. Just so you guys know, I do edit in, I record in bulk. So I'll record for 2 to 4 hours, depending on how much free time I have in my schedule. And that's what I do. And here I'm basically just explaining what my plan is for this session. Oh my God, guys, I'm telling you, this episode, I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it. And I'll try to not talk over the characters too much, but yeah. So basically here, I had went back to the camp because I was gonna switch out a Starian for Karlach. And the reason that I was doing that is because I was getting ready to fight those ogres. And even though my party now was pretty decent, I still needed a tank character or warrior to kind of face them, like go toe-to-toe with them while I work out a strategy that I thought about. Like, I was very careful with how I did this strategy. So this is me just explaining I'm switching out, you know, a Starian for Karlach. So yeah. A Starian.
Need something?
You know, I think it's better if you stay here at camp for a while. And that was basically it. And I was using my British accent.
Oh, darling, I'm hurt. I thought we had something special.
We do. You know, and he's so cute. Please stay here.
I guess I'll spend my evenings lounging here while you do all the hard work. It sounds awful.
I know, right? Now, here's a new feature that they've added because they did an update to the game. Now, when you take people out of your party, all of their junk comes to you. So their packs, their alchemy, any potions or whatever it is that they, not their potions, and their gold all comes to you, which I don't like this new feature. But still, Karlach love. I'm really excited about having her in our party. Come on, we're heading out.
Let's go, go, go.
Now, if you notice, she didn't say fuck yes. That's because right now I looked at where she was and she's very neutral with me right now. So if she likes you right away, she'll be like, fuck yes, let's go. And this right here is just me organizing my inventory. Once I realized I had a Starian's crap with me, I was like, oh no, let me make room because I'm picking up stuff. And don't worry about these books. I will read them in future episodes. I'll take time to sit down and kind of read through everything. But yeah, that's what I'm doing here. So I just sped past it. So you guys don't have to sit there and watch me sort through my inventory. And I think what I'm about to do right now is that I'm going to level up Karlach. And then once she's leveled, then I'm going to talk to Gale and get him ready. Cause
it's good to be alive.
Right? But with Gale off camera, I had came here to my camp early and it's a thing popped up. It's a journal entry, Wizard of Waterdeep, and I was like, oh, I need to talk to him. So with Karlach, her upgrade was quite easy for me to do, because when you're level 3, you can add a subclass. And for her, the subclass I chose was Wildheart, because there is the rage feature I really like with it. Even though you could do Berserker and you can do Wild Magic, which is what I want for Clementis, but I haven't found the way to do the Wild Magic just yet. So I chose Wildheart for her because she can also speak with animals, and I selected the Eagle because there's this really cool attack she can do where she can jump off shit and like do like a really hard hit. And she's really strong anyway, so this is why I was super excited, and I love eagles anyway, so that's basically what I'm explaining here on camera, but again, you just can't hear me. So that's how I did it, and then and with that, she gets the legendary Avernus Searing Smite, and this is a very powerful attack. So yes to her, yes to this, and I'm so happy to finally have Karlach in the party. And if you notice on her face, her jewelry changes. So she has like a nose ring and stuff. She gets more like wild looking jewelry when you change up her rage feature, which I think is really cool. So I was saying, I think I feel really good about my party.
Not as bad as it could have.
This is so true, Clementis. So now we're gonna go talk to Gale really quickly, and find out what was this update. So Gale,
Devil and devil hunter standing shoulder to shoulder against a common enemy. Rather poetic, I think.
True la la. So I would say I had an artifact I think you might be interested in, and then I wanted to know, what do you think about having a vampire in our camp? Because
We all have our burdens, one way or the other.
there you go. And then I left, but then I saw him doing that, and I was like, wait, what?
What's on your mind? Apart from finding me an artifact to consume, which I assume you're pursuing with the appropriate urgency.
And I was kind of like, okay, I have an artifact you might be interested in. You know, I was a little confused.
That is most gratifying to hear. May I?
So I just gave him the artifact because I was like, oh, okay. Because normally they have an exclamation point over their head, you know, so that's why I was so confused. So I gave him the Gauntlets of the Absolute, because right now those are the only magical items I had.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is so cool. So he absorbs magic. And I thought that was pretty cool that that was a feature.
Oh. That hit the spot.
Good.
I can feel it work. The magic, it's like a lullaby that sings to sleep the demon inside.
Lovely.
Metaphorical demon, I haste to point out, but no less dangerous. And no less bound to wake up again to continue its ravages. Such is the nature of all monsters.
True. So now that that was done, I think I said, I'm glad you're feeling better. Your condition sounds unpleasant, to say the least. And I was choosing what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to be an ass to Gale, because I do like his character. Clementis is, the way I was role-playing this is that Clementis is starting to like him more and more the way he's around him. So yeah, so that was
not
that.
so bad once you get used to it. And, on the plus side, my tower in Waterdeep has never been so free of clutter. Sincerely, though, I understand I ask a lot from you with few answers in return. But in time, all will be told.
And I said, don't mention it. I'm glad to help. I could help. You know, because I was reading the other thing, because even though I was thinking this one, you know, that condition of yours sounds very expensive. That's why I kind of lingered on that. That's what he was thinking. But I made him say, you know, don't mention it. I'm glad I could help.
My lord, I bow to your boundless kindness.
And this is when Clementis. Now you see the exclamation point. I was so confused, so I clicked him again, and it just basically recycled the same dialogue, so I just skipped past it. And right here is where I was saying, Clementis looked back at Gale and said, I see you, Gale. I see you. But now Clementis is starting to warm up to Gale because Gale is really showing himself to be a gentleman, really nice, and he's starting to catch feelings for Gale a little bit, just a little. Oh, this right here is really cool.
Hellfire. She's coming.
Will, you've been naughty. And you know what happens when you're naughty.
God damn it. Anyone but her.
So I didn't want to give her a compliment, so I just said, just who in the 9 hells are you? I'm making a decision.
Will, you absolute stinker. You kept me a secret? Time to let the Hellcat out of the bag. Call me Mizora. I'm Wyll'S Patron, the fount of his power. My pet's been unruly, and his leash needs a yank.
What a bitch.
We had a deal, Will. But Karlach's still breathing.
I've taken more pleasant shits than you, Mizora. And at least those can be buried after.
That's no kind of talk for a lady. By the way, Karlach, Zariel sends her regards.
You told me! Devils only! She's a tiefling, not a monster!
How precious. The little pupster's found his bark.
Clause G, Section 9. Target shall be limited to the infernal, the demonic, the heartless, and the soulless.
Wow, is what
Karlach
I
meets
said.
the criteria, pet. Trust me on this.
So here, I was choosing what I wanted to say. So even though she was new to our camp, I felt this was a better answer. You better not lay a damned finger on Karlach. And honestly, I think that was the best choice to do. Instead of saying, blast it, Will, because, he's already in trouble with this patron. I didn't want to further, stab him, so, you better not lay a damned finger on Karlach. I felt that was the best option because also Clementis also crushes on her a little bit. So I felt that was the best choice.
Don't you worry. That ship has long sailed the Styx. But a defiant pup must still pay his price. To wit.
And right here, I was shocked.
Will burns in the fires of Avernus. The lightning storms of Dis strike his flesh. His soul passes through each layer of the hells, gaining their essence and their torment.
Poor Will. And this is what I learned about his background.
That's better.
What the hells have you done?
A promise broken, a price paid. You know the terms.
Get used to the new form, pet.
There's no going back. Some magic even I can't undo.
Now, let's see how the frontiers fare without their precious blade.
Karlach, keep an eye on him, would you? I'll be keeping mine on you. Oh, and Will, don't forget,
Our pact still stands.
Ta-ta.
Yeah, so seeing Will transform is the thing I learned about his story early. And so what I wanted to do was find out what everyone was thinking. But first, of course, we gotta love on Will. And I put him in the worst outfit ever. But don't worry, I'll make him look sexy in future episodes.
God's damn her, straight back to the hells. Just look at me. I did what was right, and Mizora made me pay for it. I'd be hunting devils and demons, she said. Traitors and hypocrites, heartless evils of all sorts, but not Zariel's victims. Not innocent tieflings.
And when I saw that, I said, oh my God, I failed an Arcana check. So what I was thinking was the Blade of Frontiers has some explaining to do. Because again, he just got turned into a demon. He was being made a mockery of. And I didn't want to further twist the blade. So I thought the best option was the Blade of Frontiers has some explaining to do. You know, so I don't know. I really like this character. So that was my choice. I'm figuring out my life choices here. That's why I'm like reading through everything to see what I felt was the best answer. Number 4 is just a hell no. We're not going to say that to him.
I'll say what I can, but it won't be enough. It's Mizora who grants me the power to conjure armor and cast eldritch blasts. Before I was infected, I could even call hell beasts and summon festering clouds. But I promise you, every thrust of my blade and every flame I sparked was for the good of the coast.
So here I was like, he should get out of this pact. So he just really said he can't talk that much about it. So I said, what are the terms of your pact? Because now Clementis is curious, like, what are your terms? What are you trying to do? Like, what's happening to you? You know what I mean?
I can't utter the terms or circumstances of the pact. I can tell you most all else, but the pact, I'm forbidden, unless Mizora permits it. But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Mizora, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed. It was worth the sacrifice. All I can give you on that is my solemn word.
Yeah, so after that, I was like, oh my glob. Like, I felt so bad for him after this moment. So now it's more or less like, so when I saw Karlach's exclamation point, I was like, oh, cool. Let's see what else, see what everyone else is saying. So that's why I was running around. So now I'm curious to know what Karlach thinks.
I'll be honest, soldier. I'm reeling. Will hardly knows me, but he chose my life over his. Been a long time since someone stuck their neck out for me like that.
So I said, he's a good man, maybe the best of us.
You can say that again. When he was chasing me through Avernus, I thought he was just another sad merc. How wrong I was.
I really like that. I forget if you say something else. I think if her approval is high, she says something extra.
So, Gale just consumes magical items like I do wine. We truly are a group apart. Nevertheless, as quirks go, that's a new one for me.
I was shocked that no one had nothing to say, so I decided to ask her a question. So why were you in pain before? He wants to know more about that.
The wound on my hand. It never quite heals. And sometimes it causes terrible pain to rip through me. It's my burden, though, from Lady Shah. I can feel her influence somehow.
So I was like, so in this section here, I was like, is there anything I can do that can help with it? Because Clementis does like her as a person. So I felt that was the best question to ask her. And here I'm just fishing around to see how he feels, what other question he would ask. But the one I ended up asking was the last one, which is number 5.
I don't think so. But you're sweet to ask. maybe just be patient the next time you see me wince or cry out. It'll pass quickly enough. It always does. Pain is sacred to followers of Lady Shar. Pain will give way to loss and then to the peace of her eternal darkness. You can tolerate a great deal of suffering so long as it has meaning.
I agree with that. So what I was trying to figure out here was what to ask her next. So why would Shar subject you to such a thing? And then the other one is what causes it to hurt you or you to hurt. So she just said in that statement, pain is sacred to Shar and she doesn't really know what causes it. So I felt it would have been dumb to ask these questions until I felt he knew more information about it. Then I felt like, okay, that's a good time to ask. But right now, not a good time to ask because I feel like they're not really that warm up to each other. And I think right now her feelings on him are like fair or something like that, or medium. So I left the conversation and I was super shocked.
May the darkness protect you.
Yeah, so this is why I was trying to see if she was going to say anything about Will changing. And when I realized like, oh, she's not going to say anything about Will, he just got turned into a demon. Like, what the hell, man? So since no one had something to say.
I've known people who are hungry for power, but Gale takes it a bit too literally for my liking. I wonder how he does it. Why he does it. I'm sure all will be revealed in time, but I don't like it. A waste of perfectly good treasure.
So I said, well, let me talk to Astarion. Tell me about your history.
Why do you insist on exhuming the past? I was a slave. A vampire spawn. Kept by the Tsar family. Perhaps I still am. I was never able to resist their commands. But now, I've been conveniently lost. They won't ever control me again.
After that, I was like, oh, okay, well then let me ask another question. So I was like, how does someone become a vampire exactly? So that's what I was curious about, and I think that's what Clementis would be curious about.
It's simple. Just find a vampire that will drink your blood and turn you into a vampire spawn. Their obedient puppet. In theory, the next step is to drink their blood. Once you've done that, you're free and a true vampire.
So I said, so they bite you, you bite them?
Yes and no. The problem is, once you're a vampire spawn, they completely control you. They have to allow you to bite them. And why would they do that? Vampires are power-hungry creatures. They won't lose a servant to create a competitor. Trust me, it doesn't happen.
So then I was like, well, since we're talking about biting, so you biting me, oh my glob.
I've already apologized. What more do you want? Unless you're looking for another nibble.
Clementis is definitely looking for another nibble. So maybe later. Even though I could have said that, but I would prefer to say maybe later.
Maybe. But there won't be any more midnight surprises. I can promise you that.
So I was like, okay, so no one's gonna talk about Will? So I was like, I'm curious.
Well, hello. What can I do for you?
And I was like, damn it. I was like, okay, well, maybe Lae'zel may say something, and this is what I got.
Gale is positively voracious. Well, let him suck up all the magic he needs, as long as he doesn't snack on a Githyanki silver sword.
And I was like, well, that's true. So then I was like, let me just ask this question. No, actually, I didn't ask that of her just yet. So then I was like, okay, let me see what Will says. Maybe he'll say something. And this is what happened next.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
So I was like, nothing. So I was like, oh, damn it. Nobody has nothing to say about what just happened to Will. So I role-played it as if, like, everybody was like, it just happened, Clementis. Stop asking questions about this shit. So what I was doing here is that I was trying to manage my inventory some more, and now it's time for bed. The other thing I was gonna say, on Tactician, you need to really make sure you have all your supplies in order, because yeah, that 80 supply bill, man, woo, that's pretty serious. And you can hear people snoring. I love it. I think it's so cute. And I think now I was getting ready to do the fight, and then I saw the dog. I was like, oh, the dog is here. I was like, Scratch is here. So I was like, oh, let me, like, cats, speak with animals. I really want to talk to the dog. He's so cute.
Hope you're keeping well, friend.
Adorable. I'm sorry about what happened to your master.
Master? Friend. I stayed with him until I knew he was gone. I'll never forget him. But I'm glad to have met you.
I think this dog is so cute, so I went ahead and gave him a pet. And you can see Shadowheart and Karlach approve, I was trying to get my approval with Karlach up a little bit. This is also why I wanted her in my party for a while. But don't worry. Will and Gale will also be in my party a little bit more also. So I was like, okay, I think everybody is ready. I think I went ahead and cast Mage Armor on Will, or maybe I didn't. I will.
Falling to pieces. These goblins aren't exactly house proud as occupiers go.
Wouldn't blame the gobs. Place looks like it's been abandoned a good while. But hey, maybe we can scare up a few dusty bottles of wine somewheres.
I like your way of thinking. Split any takings we find?
Sister, you've got a deal.
I love it because these two, I love their dialogue together. And when you find Karlach and you have Shadowheart in the mix, Shadowheart will say something kind of flirtatious towards Karlach. So when I saw that, I was like, what? They like each other? I was like, that is so cool. I love the dialogue the characters have between one another. And yes, I did quick save because I was getting ready to fight these ogres. And that's why I got rid of all the goblins first. And so this is my strategy. I split everybody up on purpose because even though Karlach is strong and I knew she could kind of take them on. Oh, let me read this.
Missing children. Maggie Terrans, Marcus Terrans, Mathan Deach, Rochelle Kirk.
I was like, oh no, all those missing kids. But anywho, this strategy here worked really well. And I recommend anyone who might be playing like a character like mine that's not very strong or kind of squishy like how Clementis is. And our characters are still like, they're only level 3. Somehow I missed the perception check right there. But I said, oh, so I was kind of looking around the room to see what was in there. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'll grab all this stuff while I'm there.
Defender of the people.
But in the meantime, back to my strategy, I put Clementis right there on purpose, and I put Will right here on purpose because I needed them to kind of surround from different angles so I could attack from both sides. And then I put Shadowheart right here because I wanted Shadowheart to kind of back up, like to be backup for her. Now, what I forgot to do right here, I was trying to cast, I meant to switch right here and cast guidance on her, but I walked in too far.
Tastes like chicken. No chicken. Tastes like fish. Gentlemen, contain yourselves. This quarrel sours our feast. Besides, tastes like pork. And what surprise is this? Brothers, look here. I have eyed yet another tiefling prize. Fortune favors our bellies. Stranger, be you friend or food? The mark is her measure. Show us the brand of the absolute.
So here, when I heard they ate a tiefling, she was like, "Are you eating a tiefling?"
She scampered in from the east, calling for a pet, no doubt. The green earth bless us. She bore no mark. Those horns. Such cartilaginous crunch. Let's see the mark, lest I give in to my cravings.
So here, I was like, Karlach is getting mad. So I was role-playing it as if I was Karlach because I felt she would be the best person to deal with them. So I did a deception. So I'll do you one better. I'm the Absolute's chosen disciple. Oh, but then I changed my mind and went with that one.
Am I not astonishing? A robust diet makes for a shrewd mind, you see. I am a gourmand. And you, a delicacy. Unless you bear the mark, of course.
And I was like, okay, so I was like, let me go for this deception question. And hopefully I was upset when I realized, like, oh no, I didn't cast guidance, but you could still have guidance because Shadowheart was still close enough to her. So I was like, okay, cool beans. And I totally failed that roll. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe it. I was like, I have an inspiration point. Let me use it. Let me use it. I was kind of upset that I didn't make this deception roll. But I made it here though. So I was like, oh good. But I'm like, damn, my inspiration point is gone.
Indeed. How regrettable that your meat must go unsavored. Food? Food. Not food. Friend.
And I think I said, I noticed that you don't bear a brand of your own. Yeah.
I've no use for the Absolute, or any god. I follow two masters only. Gluttony and greed. The goblins understand my appetites. They sate my hunger for gold. And the rest sate my hunger for meat. Boss Goblin give gold. We check brand. Good deal. No talk.
And then here, forget the goblins. You should fight for me is what I chose for her. Yeah.
I am, by all accounts, a student of higher commerce and extortion. Make me an offer. Tempt me.
And I was like, oh shit. When I saw that money, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. So I went ahead and went with persuade. I think I went with persuasion. No, and then I changed my mind and I said, no. I'm gonna do in barbarian intimidation. It said, how about this? I spare your life. That tempting enough? So that's what I chose for, because that seemed like a Karlach thing to say. And then I was like, oh my God. And since I still had guidance, but when I saw I had an advantage, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And double sevens is what I got. And I didn't have an inspiration point. So, you know, I was like, damn it to hell. I was so mad.
Such sweet suggestions. Have a care. You may make yourself stringy.
And honestly, at this point, I was like, you know what? I've changed my mind on the table. I took the offer off the table, and I was like, fuck that noise. This is Karlach. I said, we're gonna just attack these mofos. Now you're gonna understand why I put my strategy in play. Put everybody in the positions I put them in, because on Tactician...
Dinner time, boys.
Yeah. Cause on Tactician, you need to have everyone in the right place, because look at what this guy did. He made himself blurry so he's harder to hit. And I was like, oh, I need to find a way to break his concentration. And look at how they landed in the roll. And look what he did. He put himself between Karlach and Shadowheart. So I was like, oh, and the computer will do that. They'll get up close in your face if you have like a caster. So I was like, okay, it's time to rage. And this is why I chose this particular rage, because look how cool this shit is. I love that. It's like so dope. And then I was like, okay, I need to cause as much damage as fast as possible. This is why the other two characters are in the position they're in. And I knew if I tried to run with Shadowheart, he would get an opportunity attack and probably do some damage. So I was like, okay, good. I'm doing some decent damage, but not enough. So I'm like, okay, so now it's Shadowheart's turn, and I need to be able, because see, that's why I was like, oh, he'll get an opportunity attack. So I need to find a way to do some really good damage and fast. So I said, oh, inflicting wounds, let me use this. So yeah, I was trying to do damage and fast and heavy, and look at this. Critical hit, baby. I was like, yes, my plan is coming together. So I was like, oh, let me put Shield of the Faithful on Shadow, so it just in case they hit her, she has some protection and she doesn't go down so easily, because she is squishier than Karlach.
Still alive, so that's progress.
So now this is when Clementis comes into play, because since I saw the major boss was there, I'm like, oh, let me not move too far out and let me find something to throw, because I wanted to see where their vision was. That's why I snuck, so I can make sure, you know, I don't like just pop into the initiative right away. So I said, oh, perfect. And since I had these fire things, and these things right here are so good. And when I realized I had the advantage on this guy, I said, let me just use it on this one. So here we go.
No, this is good.
Yeah, and when I saw where Clementis fell in the initiative order, I was trying to get Clementis to go back inside, because if they hit this thing that he's standing on, it'll fall and it could kill him. So that's why I said, oh no, let me just sneak back in here with Clementis. Run and hide, honey. That's how you do it. So now I was like, okay, it's still on Shadowheart, but I need to get Wyll in play. I need to get Wyll going, because I realized I couldn't do anything else with Shadow. So I was like, all right, let her time pass, but let me get Wyll. I think this is when I get Wyll in play, because I was trying to figure out my life, because look at what he does. Now on Tactician, maybe they do this on the regular way, I don't know, but on Tactician, look, he was coming to flank them. So I was like, oh no. And now Wyll was now in play. So I said, oh, how do I get this guy? I'm not in a great position with Wyll, but I was there. So I was like, oh, let me try to mess with his constitution or something. So this is why I respect him. This is why I respect Wyll, so I can have these kind of things. So you see how it affected his constitution, making him a little bit more susceptible. And then this did a pretty good amount of damage. I said, okay, good. So now let me get off this thing and kind of try to intercept him before he fully gets around. So when I said, I'm like, okay, they kind of preempted my strategy, but you see, this is why I was doing what I was doing. So, you know, they wouldn't have the opportunity they had. And see, this is why I did Shield of Faith, because if he hit her, look how much life he took. You know what I'm saying? So I said, oh, Shield of Faith kind of put some type of barrier there, but not by much. But I'm like, I need to get this guy down so we can, you know, deal with the other two, since the other one is coming around the corner. So I'm like, come on. And I was saving my smite on purpose for the bigger guy. And since I saw I still had another, I think I had another attack. No, I didn't. I knew she couldn't push him because he was too heavy. So I'm like, okay, Karlach, you know, you hit him. Let me just see if I can get Shadow away from him. But then I forgot about Clementis was up here. And I was like, oh, that's right. I'm up here. Let me quickly try to hit the big guy again. You know, try to at least whittle down his his strength as much as possible. And I was trying to say, should I do Cloud of Daggers? Should I throw a fireball? So then I was like, classic fireball. And even though I had a disadvantage, I said, let me just try. Oh no, I ended up throwing this instead because I didn't want to miss. And since this would fall everywhere around him, that's why I did this.
There's nothing.
Yeah, and see, it still did a little damage, not much, it did a little, and so, you know, I ran away. And then I was like, okay, so when I realized, I think once I realized he couldn't hit her, I went ahead and healed her because I didn't want her to, like, him to get another hit on her and, like, take her out completely. And I was like, oh, okay. Let me just run away with Shadow so I can have the distance to throw her guided bolt, because that was my next move with her. So I was like, okay, let me just get away. Since he's not gonna hit her, let me just make sure she's in a position where, you know, she's not flanked by both guys. So that's why I put her right here for now. And then you saw him, he was coming, so I said, let me make sure Shadowheart is ready. But when I saw him turn around, I was like, oh, okay. So now they're just trying to crowd up around Karlach. So I was like, okay, how do I get Wyll in the right position again? And this worked to my advantage, but luckily, because I put Hex on this one, I think it goes off the other one because it's a concentration focus. So that's why I did, I think, on his strength to weaken him. Because I think he's the strongest of the three ogres. And then I did Eldritch Blast. I think I missed? I don't really remember. No, I hit him. It didn't do that much damage, but it did enough to get him down. And this is why I was like, oh, let me try to run away with Wyll. But you see, my movement was so limited. I was trying to dash, but this is why I moved, because look at what he does. And luckily, I missed, but it did break my concentration on my Hex. But I was like, okay, now Karlach is surrounded. I'm like, damn it, how do I help Karlach? You know, I was like, Clementis is next, and this one guy is in front of her, and I didn't want to use my smite because I'm like, that'll, you know, that's too powerful of a move, and I didn't have access to it. So I'm like, how do I get rid of the guy in front of me? And how do I get Clementis to take out the other one? So I was like, good, okay, one down, two more to go. So Karlach, I didn't have any more moves with her, and if I tried to move with her, they would get an opportunity. So I said, let me heal her before they do something else to weaken her. And I'm like, Clementis, what do we do? Because I was so far away from everybody, I was like, oh my God, how do I work this out? So I was like, Cloud of Daggers. I was like, okay, so I have Cloud of Daggers, I can put it right there between these two, so that's what I'm doing. And there you go. Now run away, Clementis. I'm like, this is the best strategy I had with the type of characters I was using, and I'm like, oh, guided bolt. Now I can do it because they're all in there. So guided bolt, since I know it's super strong, I was like, no, I'm gonna do the strongest one I have to try to take these guys out as quick as possible. Look at that. Look at that. Go Shadow. So I'm like, okay, Shadowheart's in good position, but let me move her back just a little bit further just in case if they come at her. So I was feeling really good about this. And look, he missed. And as you can see, he was trying to get out of the Cloud of Daggers. And here is when I realized how my plan kind of fell apart a little bit, because I really can't hit them from this position. Not by any means necessary can I hit them. I couldn't throw nothing, I couldn't shoot anything, and if I try to jump down, it'll injure Wyll, and Wyll is already, he got hit by the acid, so I'm like, what do I do, what do I do? So eventually, I think I just skip past Wyll, and it goes right back to the ogres and the Karlach. And I'm like, Karlach, you know, I got one of them, you know, pretty good. That's the one that was the weakest. And it said I had an advantage, but the advantage was on Karlach. And I'm like, why would it allow me to hit Karlach and not be able to hit, you know, hit the guy? So, and you see how it was trying to make me come down with him? I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not falling for that trick, because the moment I come down, they're gonna do a one-hit kill on Will. So I was like, nope. I'm just gonna have to skip this opportunity. I unfortunately, it was a missed opportunity because there was no way I could, really get him. I tried Vicious Mockery, but I didn't have enough movement for it. So I'm like, why would he need it for that? He's just shouting. So since I couldn't do anything, that's why I just said, oh, let me skip past this, because there was nothing I can really do. I tried, that's why you saw me reach for something to throw, and yeah, the only person I could hit was Karlach, which made no sense to me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. And luckily she saved from that. And see, now they were both in front of her, and I'm like, oh, Shadowheart has the perfect position to hit. And I was like, oh shit, but Clementis doesn't really have a good view anymore of them. And I don't know how to stop the cloud of daggers, because I was gonna cast it again. And luckily I was able to do a little damage with Karlach on this one. So I went ahead and healed her up as much as I could, which wasn't very much. And this is, like I said, where my plan was falling apart a little bit, because he was now out of sight, and I didn't want to put Clementis too far out, like you can see, because they could hit the platform and make him fall. But I risked it. I said, maybe I can dash away afterwards. So I was like, okay, let me try, because I didn't want to hit Karlach with Cloud of Daggers, but I said, but what I can do with Karlach is that I can heal her. So I'm like, let me see, can I see her? And I'm like, oh, I can see her, so let me heal her real quick. I'm like, perfect. Now I was like, can I get away? Can I dash? And I was like, oh, well, I'm just gonna have to leave him there. But I'm like, Shadowheart, let's try to hit him with something good and strong. And I think I used Guided Bolt again, and I think the other one dodged out of the way. I think I missed this attack, which I was so mad about, but I'm like, let me just try anyway. See, I was like, damn it. I was so angry because on Tactician, the enemies will dodge more. So what I said was, let me make sure Karlach is at full health fighting these assholes, since I can't do much with her. And again, moving Shadowheart further away to ensure she can't be injured. And good thing I did what I did, because look at what they were doing. And then I was seeing again with Will, I'm like, damn it, how am I gonna do it? So I said, I'm gonna have to go down the ladder and run around with Will, because there's no way I can do it that way. Because if he goes down, he's gonna be injured, probably prone, and then that's a great opportunity to kill him. So I'm like, no, we're just gonna have to go the longer way around. And little Clementis is still way off in the distance. So I was like, oh fuck. And then I was like, maybe I could dash or something with him. And that's what I ended up doing, just so I can get out far enough, because if I need to run away with him, I have an escape route to get further away to create distance. Luckily, they weren't taking that much health from her, and I think I had, I think I had like Reckless Attack or something, to use with Karlach, so I can like really do damage. And since she had the advantage, I'm like, look at this. This girl is a beast. This is why, again, she's another one of my favorite characters. I freaking love Karlach. And I was like, oh no, I need to heal her as much as possible. And I think that's what I was looking for. I was looking for like a potion to heal her with. And since I could heal her, I'm like, okay, good. She's healed up again. I can't do anything else with Karlach, which is so annoying. But then at this moment, this is when I was like, okay, how do I help her when Clementis is so far away? So I was like, okay, think. What can I use? And I was like, can I cast heroism on her? Give her a buff. But then it said I didn't have, I couldn't see her. I'm like, really? She's right there. She's highlighted. So I was like, all right, let me try to get closer so I can help Karlach, because now I can't do Cloud of Daggers anymore. And then I was like, maybe Vicious Mockery, and couldn't do that. I'm like, and then I was like, well, maybe a fireball. But then I realized I was aiming at the planks and not at him. So I said, oh, I think I can hit him like this. I was like, please don't hit the wood. I want to hit the bad guys, not the wood. So I'm like, please let this be the bad guy I'm aiming at. So I'm like, is this enough? And it turns out it actually was the bad guy. So I was able to hit the bad guy. I was like, thank God. But then I was like, if they come back in here, I need to be able to get away. So this is why I think I was trying to get in a better position, but also get myself closer back to that little area I can keep him safe in. And I think because I was running out of spell slots, that's why I went ahead and use Fireball. Since I was able to hit him before, I was like, please let me be able to hit this one. And it worked, but it just didn't take that much damage. And I couldn't do anything else with her. And then I said, oh wait, a haste potion. Oh, I have access to things again. So I was like, all right, let's try to do either that or Sacred Flame or something. So I was like, please hit him again. Please hit him again. Because I was trying to help Karlach as much as possible. I'm like, yes, I got him. I got him. So I'm like, okay, cool. So it's just this one. And since I had opportunity attack, like cutting words, I'm like, oh good, it made him miss. So I was like, all right, Will, it's all you, Will. I have to like get him as close to her as possible. So I think I dashed right here just so I could, you know, be in the right position to do an Eldritch Blast. And I was like, wait. All I can do is finesse. I'm like, oh no, I'm not going in there with him. And what I should have done was grab a haste potion, but then I realized, oh, I didn't have enough room, and it probably was wiser to stay outside anyway. And besides, I think Karlach got this covered. So, you know, and I think I had access to, yeah, another reckless attack. So I'm like, let's do it, girl. You're raging. Let's go. And look at that. I'm like, oh, I don't have anything else. And I think the one that gets the final attack is Clementis. Because I think I used Dissonant Whispers and I think I scared him to death. And Dissonant Whispers, I think is better than Vicious Mockery. Because look at this. I think, yeah, I put myself right here.
And move.
Yeah, and I'm like, the only thing I have at my disposal is Dissonant Whisper, so let me try it because I think that could get him. So I had to rotate the camera. Guys, don't forget to rotate your camera. And look at this, look at this. Down, down. I was like, yes, yes. I couldn't believe I did this on Tactician because Tactician is very challenging. So I'm like, my strategy had to work some kind of way, so... You know, yay. Only thing, like I said before, I don't know how to get rid of Cloud of Daggers when the fight is over. So I just got everybody together and then I was like, ooh, you know, we used a lot of spells. You know, I think I don't have that many spell slots. So I was like, ooh. So I needed to make sure, I think we did like a long rest. And right here, I was basically exploring and picking up everything I could find. And look how he fell. I was like, ooh, that looked like that hurts. And look, that tiara I just picked up. Something over there. Yeah, and you see that right there? If you hit that, it'll make the thing fall down. So I was like, yeah, I'm glad I put Clementis in a good position and away from that. Now, what I'm doing right now is like what I didn't mean to talk to Shadowheart.
Upon you.
What I was trying to do was figure out what was here, and then I discovered these books. And so I actually was reading these books, guys, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I am dyslexic, and I've said this many times, I will say it again. And the writing in these books are really tiny, and sometimes it's hard for me to see. So watching this in replay, I'm gonna have to try my best to summarize what I'm reading. What land is Cornier? Certainly. The geography is dramatic, edged by mountains and seas, filled with forests and swamps, but why dwell on those when the greater wall of Suzel looms ahead? One sees the city walls as one approaches, but there is not, well, I can't really see because my face is in the way, no understanding them from a distance. It's only as one gets close and then they loom higher, higher, and higher. Then one appreciates the majesty of Suzel. I passed through the gate, the size of the castles to enter this magnificent city. The streets are payrolled by elite armored knights known as the Purple Dragons and frequented by nobles in the most elite fashion. Its port is filled with ships across the sea of fallen stars, carrying goods from land I only know from legend. The docks overflow with fruits, spices, and silks and animal pells. You will not see a finer market if you have the golden lions to spend. So, what made this book so interesting, because it was related to Clementis and his life in Cormyr, because he was born in Arbel. So that's largely what I was talking about in this section of the video. So yeah, I really like reading all these little books. And like I said, I will have an episode dedicated to, to finding these books so we can read them all. But I am gonna speed past this, so y'all don't have to sit there and watch me read this, and you can't even hear me. Okay, so now that I was like, oh, can I pick this up? So yeah, so if you're playing on the PlayStation, if you press square allows you to open up like another side menu where you can actually like pick up specific items. X just allows you to examine things or like open things up outright, but square allows you to like kind of examine things a little further, I should say. So X is mainly to pick up and square is more to examine. So I said it backwards, but yeah. And here, I think it was like when I discovered, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna pick all this shit up. So I was really excited, and I really couldn't believe I had that fight. And I meant to speak with that tiefling on the floor, but I didn't. So, and this is just another document that I think I kind of skimmed over. So I'm going to skip past some of this too, because basically this is like, it's basically talking about a show, I believe. And then I discovered all these books and I was like, oh, cool. And I think the character even comments on finding a journal. So he's like, oh, maybe we can find out what happened here. So this is me like going through all the different books and seeing what we have.
Someone's diary.
Exactly. So then I was like, oh, there's a diary. Let me find it and read it. And here we go. I think, yeah, that's the one. That's the one I was, well, no, that's not it. I think that's it, yeah. So this is it's a pretty short diary. The Triumphant and Travels, the Triumphant and Travels of Lump the Enlightened. Now that I see the truth, I can scarcely remember a time before. At first, I thought it was the human's thin flesh that bestowed this gift, but I've come to believe it was the circlet she wore. There was a crunch in that chew. The goblin boss, Drog Raglan, made a tantalizing proposal. Spare any prey bearing his new god's brand, and feast on the rest. He offered considerable coin in return. Now, as I was reading this, I was trying to figure out what Lump the Enlightened was talking about, but actually, it's the tiara I picked up. Remember when I searched his corpse, you find a tiara, and it's a tiara of the Enlightened, I believe that's the name of it, and it increases your intelligence 10-fold. So I highly recommend if you fight those if you fight those ogres, I highly recommend that when you kill them, you take that circlet. I believe another thing you can do, I think if you manage to bargain with him, I think you can summon him in a fight or something like that, if my memory serves me correctly, but I'm gonna be honest with y'all, it's better to kill them and get the circlet, because they can be a boon to you, because I think you also still pick up a horn, and I'm not sure if you can still use it though. So that's something I'm not too clear on. But anywho, let's move past this. And here, oh my glob, finding all these camp supplies, like finding all that meat, oh my god, so good. So I was so happy to run across all of this stuff, and I'm like, oh good, now I can just, use all these, camp supplies, because like 80 camp supplies, that's insane. And I think there was like another book over here or something. Yeah, that's why I was, when you press down, you discover that there are books. So this is something I'm going to read later. I would just like, I'll be honest with you, I was just done with reading. I was like, I'll read this later. Because I just wanted to hurry up and sell everything. And so what I was doing was looking at all of the books to make sure I had one of each copy, because I'll put them in my trunk when I go back to the camp. So that's all I was doing, to make sure I had, like I said, I had one copy of each. Yeah, and I think I forgot about the painting upstairs in the little room I was in. So now what I was doing, I was just trying to double check on anything else I could sell. Because I highly recommend anything you don't use, sell it. Sell everything. Especially if you're playing on Tactician. Sell anything that you cannot... oh, and this.
Names and heights have been carved into the wood over the years. The last two read Maggie Terrans and Marcus Terrans. Twins, perhaps.
And if you remember, that was the name of the two missing children outside. So this was their home, or I think this was a school. Yeah, because I think, yeah, this is a school. Oh, and yes, I was like, oh, good, my perception is working again. So here you also find like some really cool stuff. And I highly recommend after this fight, you search this place and you pick it clean, because that is my rule of thumb. Anything that's not bolted to the ground comes with you, honey. And I was like, oh, really? Empty crate? Oh, and right here, these rocks. Oh, and then I found another book. So I was like, oh, the Paladin Oathbreaker. So I was like, oh, cool. So this is another book to read, because in my other playthrough, I actually am playing as a Paladin, but I'm playing as a Revenge Paladin. I would highly recommend using that Paladin, unless you want to do,
what's cooking?
Unless you want to do the other two, but I recommend Revenge Paladin. And look at this shit. This is so cool. I didn't realize you could do this in the fight. You can grab and throw stuff, but I recommend you do it when no one is near you, because, yeah. Shadowheart discovered she discovered in the worst way. So you see how everybody's right there, but Shadowheart's still too close. Now when you throw this, there's a splash. And you see how it hit, and she didn't save on that throw. And I was like, oh shit, I'm so sorry, Shadowheart. I feel so bad. So now I think I was just like, now I'm just going around trying to see everything. And then I realized there were some goblins. There were two goblins outside, right there. I'm like, oh, there are two goblins right there. So I'm like, oh, well, let's get rid of them. You know, like, I mean, we cleared out this entire camp. They didn't notice. They didn't hear none of the fighting. Somehow silence was cast and they didn't hear nothing. So since they don't hear nothing, they ain't gonna hear us when we sneak up on their ass. So I think right here, I was devising another plan to split up again. And I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have everybody... Well. I know, right? So I was gonna have Karlach, you know, kind of like get in front of one of the guys. And I think I realized like, oh wait, I didn't pick up none of this stuff right here. So I spent a few minutes trying to pick up everything right here in this little area. And I will say on a controller, it's a little tricky if you don't realize how to use the D-pad, because you have to use left and right on the D-pad so you can like swipe through stuff, because if you try to use the analog stick, it just makes it more tricky.
What's this?
No, that's my experience. My precision with it just isn't that great. So once I realized I had all the goodies I needed, I was like, all right, it's time to kill some goblins. So what I recommend you do, if you do this, make sure the entire camp is cleared and then go after these goblins. And I think that one was an archer. This is why I had Karlach stand right in front of him, you know. So, you know, and I was joking saying like, you know, she's just shooting the shit with him like, oh, hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up, soldier? So then I put Will right there, you know, because he's a spellcaster, because I wanted him to be able to hit, you know, with his finesse. I put Clementis right there because, you know, His squishiness is a problem.
No time to dally.
And then, you know, Shadowheart, I put right there just in case the boys get injured. She's super close to heal them. So now, you know, we're about to get into this. And I think the entire camp is now clear except for the well that I need to go down. And I am not looking forward to going down into that spooky ass well because I don't know what the hell is down there.
Behavior has caused upset. Now a fight is unavoidable.
Now you see why I took out her so quickly, or that one so quickly. And then it was so funny because I'm like, oh, Clementis. I was like, okay. So I was like, well, what should I use? What should I use? I was like, Vicious Mockery.
You louse. You might.
I love it. You louse. You might. And it's hilarious. So since I thought Karlach was next. Not Karlach. I thought Shadowheart was next in the lineup, but it was actually Wyll. Again, dyslexia. It's a problem.
Will not bend.
And I was like, oh shit! It was Wyll that was next, not Shadowheart. So yeah, so the joke was on me. So I think, what did I do? I think I just went ahead and used finesse or something. Or did I hit him with this? Yeah, because he moved out of the way. Because when you're a spellcaster and you're too close to people, sometimes it's a problem. And like, I still missed. I'm like, really? Really? And I was like, he's only doing that because he's a spellcaster, so he can get like a good hit on him. So I was like, hopefully this will work. And it did. I'm like, oh, I love when radiant damage hits you, it can do some damage. So what I did with Karlach, I want to call her Karlach. What I did with Shadowheart was flank the goblin. So now, you know, he's flanked between Karlach and Wyll. And see, I'm so glad Wyll dodged out of the way because that would have really damaged him and probably killed him. Look at that. Look at that. And I was like, should I rage? Like, should I do it? I was like, nah. And so I was like, does everything have to be left up to Clementis? And I think here's when I shot a fireball. I was like, Clementis has to clean up y'all messes.
Try me.
And just like that, he's down. So I was like, oh, cool. So I was like, great. I'm so happy we were able to get them, you know? So I think I got everything I needed.
Moonhaven.
Yeah, Moonhaven. Lovely place. Full of goblins and other such monsters. So now I think I put everyone together and I think we head back to the Grove. Because I think over there is where you run into like the swamp area. So I didn't want to go there just yet. Because I think that's where you run into like another dangerous area. So I think now, yeah, I think I was heading back to the Grove. So I think I'm just gonna skip past this because y'all don't need to watch me run all the way back. Okay guys, so I had to go back. After I went to the Grove, I realized, oh my God, I forgot about this painting right here. So that's why you see me go in there to pick it up. And here, yeah, so Karlach noticed the floorboard. Now, my dumbass, my goodness, I'm so sad to admit this. My silly self thought it was something that was breakable. So this is why you see me using my, using my bow, my crossbow to try to break the floor. And I was like, okay, cool, I took enough damage. And then I noticed the damage stopped. I'm like, okay, well maybe I'm just not strong enough. Let me use Karlach, someone who's way stronger. Now, see, here's the thing though.
Good looking.
I'm gonna shoot this with Karlach, right? I'm gonna do this right here, like so, like that. And I was like, wait, what? So I got closer and then I realized I saw the word open. And I was like, wait, open? I was like, open? Open what? And yeah, and I'm gonna wrap up the video here because you find this little letter that's actually really sweet and cute. Dear Flora, happy birthday. I know I finally finished a painting, and it's not just any painting. Does it look familiar? I'll give you a hint. It involves me getting down on one knee and you making me the happiest woman alive. I'd best go. I hear silence in the classroom next door, and that is never a good sign. Happy birthday, my love, Amanda. So as I was reading this, I thought this was really cute. And I like the fact that they show all different types of relationships between men and women and women and women and women and men. I think that's just so cute and so cool. And I think also you find a teddy bear in here as well. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was cute and cool. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed this style of video that I did. But I'll see you guys on the flip side. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.